Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Rogue Trader. Me, Break It Down. Let's check in with Solomorn and then head to Dargonus.
Rogue Trader.
Solomorn gives you a curt nod and greeting. I want to talk about what happened on Lethus.
We certainly have things to discuss.
Do you have any thoughts on who might have been behind the attack on the barges?
I have a theory, but I myself give it little credit at this time. It is too unlikely and too dangerous. However, I will gladly listen to your own perspective on these events.
The Prefect recently employed some mercenaries. An interesting coincidence.
We have no evidence to suggest that they are the same mercenaries. Our enemy is good at covering their tracks, so we should proceed with equal caution.
The attack on the barges, Sargona. These incidents are connected. Someone is desperately trying to seize the tithe.
I have arrived at the same conclusion. Sargona never bit off more than he could chew. Ryket's tithe was too big a prize for him. He would have been targeted both by the Arbites and by any criminals looking to scavenge the shipment piece by piece. Sargona was acting on someone's directive, without fear of the consequences.
If you have a suspect in mind, I'd appreciate it if you spoke plainly.
I cannot. Not because I do not trust you, but because I do not want my assessments to prompt any rash actions on your part. This may be exactly what our opponent wants. We should go to the Marshal and investigate this matter strictly within the bounds of the Lex Imperialis. It is the only way to avoid a mistake.
We should not make guesses, which I just tried to do twice.
Indeed. It is best that we talk about something else.
You no longer follow the letter of the Lex Imperialis, and your proposal regarding the fate of the Expanse's tithe proves it. Am I correct?
By arbitrator standards, I am already knee-deep in heresy, but frankly, their condemnation does not deter me. I serve the Emperor as I have never served before. I am no longer blind and shackled, but this realization only makes the burden of duty heavier. So much needs to be done to protect the Expanse from disaster and strife, but such is the mission I have imposed upon myself. Since you've brought it up, does it trouble you that I have found a new path of service for myself?
I completely support your stance, Solomorn.
It means a lot to me, Rogue Trader, to be not just your traveling companion, but also your ally in the fight for the new understanding of the Lex Imperialis.
Solomorn lays his iron hand on his heart. Enough about Lethus for now. Solomorn nods faintly.
You know where to find me.
Alright, let's head to Dargonus and turn this into Marshal Strox. We need to level up our companions as well.
Rise to the top or get left in the dust.
Oh, it's this one, okay. We haven't had this encounter in a while.
Your arrogance will be your downfall.
The Emperor is with us!
Move him further up.
as the tenants demand.
Look out. Emperor, protect me. I can handle this.
This way! Yeah! Your end was inevitable.
Don't touch me. For now.
Emperor, protect me!
So it shall be. I will carve runes out of your bones. Our foes reek of cowardice.
I should have activated that first. I feel terrible about that. Yeah, for some reason he can't move up that way. So I guess we'll just come back here and
Damn get.
shoot at somebody. Alright. That's all we'll do for now. What is the fastest way up there? Gotta be this way.
I'll make it happen. It's as good as done. On it. I don't need luck. I have strategy. My gut tells me it's a bad idea. Who, if not me? I'll see to it personally. Another enemy down. I'll make it happen. I'll see to... I can't stand it! Yeah! Quick! Quick! Yeah!
Solomorn. I don't know if you can make it over there. Oh, look at that.
Understood. I'll take it as a fight. Accepted. Understood. The order is clear.
Not sanctioned to do this.
Seen that before, not going to read it again. The vessel's confessors report discontent among their flock. In the traditional sermon before departure, a ritual chandelier's 100 candles are snuffed out at once. The missionaries attribute this incident to an open ventilation shaft, but the voidsmen noticed it and are whispering about an ill omen, fearing the woes that may soon come. Organize punitive processions against everyone faltering in their belief. A resounding condemnation of weakness of spirit and body led to arbitrary reprisals against anyone who dared even mention the troubles hanging over the crew. With the permission of the confessors, voidsmen took the task of bolstering morale into their own hands and successfully quelled the rising panic. Alright, before we drop on Dargonus, let's go ahead and level everybody up. Prophetic Intervention sounds pretty good. So does Precise Attack. Or Joint Analysis. So the operative's next turn, let's see. Do a Joint Analysis. So the operative's next turn, their allies' attacks also remove exploits and deal +3 more damage. Ballistic and Perception, and I guess Willpower. Concentrated Fire. We'll just do Willpower. A Glimpse of Fate. Target gains 60% increased hit chance on their next attack, dodge on their next attack, or sorry, on their next dodge test, and chance of success on their next resistance test. These bonuses disappear independently from each other after being successfully applied. Perception, Willpower, and Agility? No, Fellowship. She's an officer after all, despite not using her as an officer. Consolidation. The Overseer immediately dashes to their familiar within so many cells based off your fellowship. The Overseer can move through allies and enemies, but not through obstacles. This movement does not provoke attacks of opportunity. If the familiar is a Cyber Eagle that is soaring, the Overseer gains movement points instead. Willpower, Strength, and Toughness. Jai. Break their ranks. This ability can only target allies who have enemies adjacent to them. So at the start of the officer's next turn, all melee attacks made by the target deal additional damage equal to 3 multiplied by the number of enemies adjacent to the target when this ability is used. If the target is under the effect of Voice of Command, they immediately make an attack of opportunity against an adjacent enemy, targeting the one with the lowest remaining wounds. And Fellowship here. Hot on the trail. The bounty hunter designates an enemy, and a 10-cell radius is trailed and finishes its turn. If an ally kills a trailed enemy, the bounty hunter gains an extra turn after that ally's turn, with all AP and MP remaining from the moment the bounty hunter used Hot on the Trail. The bounty hunter gains additional movement points. The cooldown of Hot on the Trail is reset. When Hot on the Trail is used for the 3rd time during combat, the bounty hunter recovers 1 charge of Hunt Down the Prey. Perception, Ballistic Skill, and I guess Agility. Mare's Eye. Killing Edge. The assassin attacks, granting 40% dodge to the target of this attack. This attack hits, it deals additional 18 rounded down damage, increased by twice the percentage of that target's missing wounds. Weapon skill, and I guess strength. I think that's what he uses, right? Has a lot of agility too. I guess we use agility. Alright, to Dargonus. Urgent report, Lord Captain. The barges carrying the tithe have been seized or are heading off into an unknown direction. Multiple sources are voxing the flagship at once. I detect the signatures of several noble houses and the administratum. Who dared seize the sacred tithe? We're getting reports of it being in order of the Adeptus Administratum. We received several official forms to the effect that Dargonus' orbit is currently deemed unsafe for the tithe storage due to an unspecified threat that has sprung up on the world in your absence. What do the noble houses want? Vox is silent for several minutes. The messages have no discernible structure or cause. Professions of loyalty, audience requests, even pleas for leniency. One thing is clear, Lord Captain. Something has agitated the upper echelons of the nobility. In other words, they are scared. What does the Administratum message say? You are requested to come to the Palace of Justice in person. The Prefect speaks of a terrible heresy that is threatening the Von Valancius Protectorate. While you are away, steps were taken to prevent the spread of the corruption. However, your presence is required to make the final decision. Prefect Vulture will meet you in person for a confidential conversation. What do you say, Solomon? Vox is silent for a while. It appears you have no choice if you want to help your subjects, although I don't like what is going on. I'd advise you to go to the palace. If nothing else, find out what you can do to protect your people. You're right. Vigdis, prepare a shuttle for me and my retinue. As you will, Lord Captain. Prefect and I don't know if it's Inscriber or Inscribia. Inscribia Vulture raises her eyes to you. Rogue Trader Von Valancius, welcome back to the Palace of Justice. What is happening on Dargonus? What is the cause of the panic, and why this private conversation? That is why you are here, is it not? Learn why the world is distressed, why the air is charged with Vox transmissions. Any administrator worth their station be concerned. Disruptions to established processes always lead to, well, no matter. Prefect peers at your face. Her voice sounds strange, deeper, calmer, less cantankerous than usual. Have you ever pondered the nature of heresy, Von Valancius? Perhaps to your mind, heresy is merely limited to Xenos, Warpspawn, and Insurgents. But there are other heresies, whose existence is far more easily forgotten. Those of negligence, of avarice, of confusion and disorder. What are you getting at? Oh, whatever form it may take, heresy always treads quietly, unbeknownst to its ultimate victim. I believe both of us have been given some thought on this in recent days. The Prefect gives you a different look from before, and the century-old wariness in her eyes dissipates for just a moment. There is surprise and piqued curiosity in her expression, both of which, however, she quickly conceals behind the usual veil of aloofness. Rogue Trader Donnie Dawson Von Valancius, in accordance with the amendment to Decree 64-98/DF, issued by the Adeptus Administratum and the Adeptus Arbites, you stand accused of countless heresies against the sacred tithe and the well-being of the Protectorate. All related statements have been formulated and the evidence of your crimes registered. Proceedings will commence as soon as you and your accomplices present yourselves as the accused. The prefect looks at you with the eyes of a snake. A trial awaits you, Donnie Dawson. This is all one carefully orchestrated spectacle, wasn't it? The prefect, who is about to turn away, stops and glances back at you with a fatigued look. What? You spied on me. You knew of every word I said. How does it feel to sneak glances at one whom you could never hope to become? Your taunt hits its mark. An angry grimace passes over the prefect's face. She immediately recomposes herself, but it is too late. You saw how much your words have offended her. She knows that you caught her reaction. Unsubstantiated conjecture mixed with an inflated sense of self-importance. I'm honored to do my duty wherever his will commands me to be. You wanted to go to Lethus yourself. A foolish mistake, Prefect. Your impatience was too obvious. I simply wish to do what you, as Theodore's successor, were supposed to do. Protect the sacred tithe. There's no point in trying to present my reasonable desire in a damning light. Your only goal has been to get your hands on the tithe from Lethus. Vulture sighs. Not everyone is driven by greed and thrill-seeking, Rogue Trader. I see your position has clouded your mind. Regrettable but unsurprising. Without due discipline and judgment in actions, it is only the most likely terminus. You twisted my report on Thessera to paint me as a heretic. All I did was provide a summary of the results of your expedition. A summary stripped of dubious attributes such as declarations of good intentions and de-emphasized consequences. Just admit it. You set me up. The prefect sighs heavily. I should have even tried to hear you out, Rogue Trader. Gives a nod to the arbitrators, signaling them to escort you to the accused stand. Allow yourself to be escorted to the trial. So be it. Let's see what you have prepared for me. Prefect gives a dispassionate nod to the arbitrators behind you and turns away. In the name of the God Emperor, Von Valancius' dynasty stands accused of betraying the Imperium. To the murmurs of all, the prefect picks up a scroll bearing administratum seals. The trial is public so that all may see the Rogue Trader's heresies and know what status and power are no shield against the righteous punishment. Marshal Strox, you have the floor. State the list of crimes against the Lex Imperialis that will be examined here today. With practiced skill, Strox's voice reverberates throughout the hall. Conspiring to steal the sacred tithe, undermining the legitimate authorities on an imperial world, involving sorcery and damage to the tithe, conceiving and executing plans to disrupt sector-wide tithe shipments. Listen in silence. Strox finally finishes listing your crimes. There's a momentary pause in the hall. Like the records show that the defendant disregarded the opportunity given to him to repent, which only adds to the gravity of his guilt. We'll proceed to the examination of the individual tithe heresies committed by the defendant. Conspiring with the captain of the Heartless to steal the sacred tithe. Upon arriving on Rykad Minoris, the Rogue Trader aided Captain Sargona and loaded the tithe onto his ship under the cover of a planetary riot. Donnie Dawson von Valancius later eliminated his accomplices using Adeptus Arbites forces led by Proctor Anthar. Proctor attempted to appease the Rogue Trader's greed, offering the frigate known as the Heartless in exchange for the safety of the tithe. Then the Rogue Trader boarded the ship in an attempt to seize the tithe. His actions led to the death of a squad of arbitrators. Proctor Anthar alone survived the Rogue Trader's murderous ploy. Donnie Dawson von Valancius personally eliminated his accomplice, Captain Sargona, in order to destroy the evidence of his schemes. The prefect looks up from the scroll and sweeps her indifferent gaze over you. Do you have anything to say in your defense? Solomorn, tell them what really happened. Proctor, stand down. That is an order. Your reports are quite comprehensive and are the foundation of this case. You'll provide your testimony only when the prefect requests it. Is that clear? Solomorn's eyes bore to Strox. Extremely, Marshal. I can but appeal to your own common sense, Marshal Strox. Do you recall even one instance where a heretic attempted to steal the tithe, while taking a few dozen arbitrators along for company? Strox frowns doubtfully. It is certainly an unorthodox tactic, perhaps even suicidal. No, I recall no such cases. Let a new charge be added to the record, attempting to manipulate an official. Marshal, hope I do not need to remind you of your duty. Giving Strox a suspicious look, the prefect turns back to the documents. According to the calculation of the tithe transferred from the Heartless, the Administratum was short 3 units of volume. It is presumed that the rogue trader did not risk seizing more in the presence of the proctor, but even 1 ounce unaccounted for makes the tithe incomplete. Let's move on to the Sarah. This world underpaid their appropriate tithe amount, a crime that should have been remedied by the rogue trader escorting Proctor Anthar to that backward world. Proctor, you're hereby called to testify. Describe what happened on the planet. When we arrived with the Sarah, rogue trader and I were drawn into the machinations of the planetary governor. He used sorcery on the Emperor's anointed, but the rogue trader managed to overcome the effects of the ritual and do battle with the heretic. The governor was executed, and we... A lie uttered in the Palace of Justice is a serious offense, Proctor. Plato, retrieve recording, the Sarah 84/Alpha. The prefect nods to the marshal, who removes a device from his belt. The press of a button, and Glader responds with a sharp metallic cling. Cybermastiff's paws carry him to Strox. Cybermastiff's entire body begins to tremble, his feet clawing up tiny sparks. And then he projects a picked recording from his eyes onto the floor. The footage depicts a scene from Glader's viewpoint. The quality is terrible. You can make out the hall where the sculptor is conducting the sinister ritual. You see Maeve interfering with the ritual, and the beam of warp energy connecting the two of you. You hear Solomorn's command. The scene changes and you see Maeve, or rather yourself in Maeve's body, wandering through the streets of Thessera. The next clip brings you back to the hall where Solomon is firing on the altar. The events in the recording are echoed by dragging pain in your muscles and a fog in your head. Pain flits across Solomon's granite face as he looks at his dog. You've used this as a tool against the rogue trader from the beginning. Such tricks and schemes are unworthy of the Arbites. As we can observe, Proctor Anthar destroyed the heretical altar. Then a fight ensued in which the Psyker died. There's not a single shred of evidence that the rogue trader actually overcame the sorcery. It is more likely that the person standing before us is a heretic and a creature of corruption. Did you watch the entire recording? Is this, in your view, how a rogue trader conducts himself? Like some swooning maiden? Strox huffs out a laugh. You seem offended by the insinuation that you're prone to fainting spells. Well, I admit, there is a difference. You've just made it plain for all to see. Marshal. The old woman stares at the arbitrator without blinking, as if hypnotizing him. Finally, convinced that the marshal's conversation with you is over before it even began, she returns to her papers. Prefect leaves through a few pages in a folder. The court also takes note of the pernicious effects of the rogue trader's handling of the Emperor's servants entrusted to his authority. Since arriving from Thessera, rogue trader has done his duty by passing judgment on several subjects within the walls of this hallowed hall. The prefect picks up the sheet of notes and wrinkles her nose. In forbidding the doleful host from capturing the choirmaster, rogue trader confirmed his complicity in the activities of the infamous heretic Conrad Voidfear, to whom the choirmaster had been relaying messages that had led to mutinies, acts of heresy, and other forms of disobedience. The Adeptus Arbites had to step in and execute Omnis Pros themselves. Rogue trader exiled Cardinal Anvilus from Dargonus, so he'd meet his death away from his parish and flock. The ecclesiarchs of the capital world officially condemned this unfair decision, which they interpret as a heretical attempt to weaken Dargonus' faith through bereaving the planet of a holy preacher. Lord Maulus, deemed to be alive, committed a transgression of soft-heartedness in running his family enterprise. He released all his convicted workers and terminated the contracts with his primary suppliers, citing their moral qualities. His actions resulted in 12 kilotons of undelivered food rations across several recipients. First, the Administratum is unable to do its duty and ask for help, and now, it has the audacity to criticize the verdicts of the rogue trader. Prefect, the accusations do not merely cast aspersions on the competence of the Administratum, they challenge the sanctity of the decisions of the Emperor's anointed. These cases were under the jurisdiction of the Lex Dargonus. Responsibility for the consequences lies with you. Your words are true. Crimes committed after a verdict are cause for new convictions, not... Marshal, enough. Not a single muscle twitches on the prefect's face, but her eyes blaze with barely suppressed annoyance. Moving on. The defendant was placed in an unprecedented position of trust by the Adeptus Arbites and the Administratum. He was entrusted with the coordinates of the world where the tithe of the entire Coronis expanse was held. As agreed, the defendant was to transport the sacred tribute to Dargonus. But what did he do? Marshal snaps his fingers over Glado's head. Cybermassive flinches, as if from a bolter shot, but obediently plays another recording. You recognize Salamorn's voice. So, Lady Theodora intended to steal the tithe from the start. She arranged the world's destruction to cover her tracks, installed a servant to keep an eye on things, and even made a contingency plan in case of her own death. All she needed was an opportune moment, like this one. With the expanse being torn apart, the planet's death looks convincing. Tithe theft, orchestrated by Theodora von Valancius, committed by the defendant, witnessed by Proctor Anthar. Salamorn, don't you have anything to say? The Rogue Trader should not be held responsible for the misdeeds of his predecessor. Murmuring breaks out, but Salamorn presses on unperturbed. Or else, by that same logic, the Sandiac Quarter should have been tried long ago for what her predecessor Aspis did. As you can see, it isn't difficult to find inconsistencies in a case if you use your head a little. I refuse to be a mindless tool and follow absurd orders. I sent a portion of the tithe for the rebuilding of the Expanse. It will serve the people better than leaving it to rot in your coffers forever. The sacred tithe is not intended to be used by anyone other than the Adeptus Administratum, the deliverers of his will. Strox is not looking. Heard to look at Inscribia. You have no doubt about whom he is addressing. The Adeptus Administratum, like the Adeptus Arbites, only oversees the allocation of the tithe. I do not need to remind you of that, do I, Prefect? The old woman snatches up the next parchment. I would give you to speak up, Gregorus. As an addendum to the proceedings, we'll be examining the heresies of Salamorn Anthar resulting from his moral failure to oppose the greed of the heretic von Valancius. Your own voice pours forth from inside Glado. You no longer follow the letter of the Lex Imperialis, am I correct? Something inside Glado clicks, as Salamorn's voice begins to play. The Marshal learns the whole truth. It will make things difficult. By arbitrator standards, I'm already knee-deep in heresy, but frankly, the condemnation does not deter me. Salamorn is his own master. I do not choose for him. If you think that an arbitrator's tenets can be so easily broken by any passing stranger, you insult the very core of the Adeptus Arbites. The Rogue Trader is right. The arbitrator has dared to stray from the Lex, and he was never an arbitrator. The fault lies with me for not seeing the weakness in his heart in time. Well, proceedings are nearing their conclusion. The Prefect looks around at the nobles of Dargonus gathered in the hall. The record of sins and heresies presented to the servants of the God Emperor has revealed the Rogue Trader's true essence, and the verdict is grim. For his thoughts and deeds were not bent toward the service of humanity, but to the indulgence of his own greed and petty ambition. Today, you're here to witness an act of righteous judgment, and the downfall of the von Valancius dynasty. Houses of Dargonus, you reject the authority of this heretic. If I might interrupt, Mistress Vulture, Urban Drivestem, Governor of Dargonus, visibly nervous at the sight of the armed arbitrators, nevertheless raises his head haughtily. We're much obliged to you for arranging this gathering. The emphasis on the last word leaves no doubt that the noble's presence at the palace is involuntary. However, all that has now taken place here does not change the facts. House von Valancius holds the warrant of trade. House von Valancius is a rogue trader dynasty, and no amount of legal contortions will change that. House Drivestem is loyal to the rogue trader. Brianna Gaprek makes the sign of the Aquila. No shadow shall fall upon the name von Valancius or eclipse the radiance of the beneficent rogue trader line. Whatever your mechanical dog may say, House Gaprek is loyal to the rogue trader. Vicarius Arabac raises his head, his eyes burning with an almost deranged loyalty. Venerating the letter of the law is not fidelity to justice. It's true, you have the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law. Straight from the tenets of the Lex is not discerning the essence of truth and the granting of retribution. The man is silent for a few seconds, before he almost shouts out. House Sauerback is loyal to the Rogue Trader. Comanche Versarian looks straight at you, as if the prefect does not even exist. She makes the sign of the Aquila and speaks in a low voice. House Versarian is loyal to the Rogue Trader. Allow me to address you, even though I'm not of the first families of Dargonus. Proctor Jaeger, Adeptus Arbites, Lethus Outpost. Donnie Dawson von Valancius made every effort to not only save the Tithe, but also the Arbites contingent stationed on Lethus. I propose that such an act would have been entirely nonsensical. The Rogue Trader was intent on simply stealing the Tithe. End of report. Perfect Vulture stiffens, as though what she had just heard has come as a very unpleasant surprise. Her slender fingers grip on the armrest of her chair, her knuckles cracking. This world and its denizens are rotten to the core. The Prefect straightens in her chair, with such force that you hear the arduous grinding of her implants. Her voice is cold and slightly tremulous. Decree GC-781/89, Supplement 982. For tithe theft, participation in foul sorcery, and other crimes against the Imperium, Donnie Dawson von Valancius is sentenced to death. The property of the dynasty is hereby confiscated and placed under the oversight of the Adeptus Administratum. Any last words, convict? Probably gonna fail this. Arbitrators. Vulture and Strox believe that the Lex Imperialis is but a collection of letters and forms to be played with as they please. They believe that you must blindly follow their orders. But whom do you defend? Humanity or these prefects? I call upon you to stand with me in the name of humanity, not the soulless machine of the Administratum. Your words fall on deaf ears. No arbitrator moves from where they stand. Arbitrators. Sentence is death. Carry it out. Carry it out.
I'll make an example out of you.
All violators will be crushed.
As honor ordains. The shadows will see it done. Trust me. As the tenets demand. I shall not fail.
Wolves reign! Cubs play! See how the wolf succeeds? Die in disgrace!
Alright, it may have been a little overkill.
I hunger for battle. Wolves reign! None can do this better than a warrior of the Ojai and become the All-Father's worthy instrument!
I'm going to equip this in case he tries to run away. Well, he has a shield, he'll probably stand there.
strengthens me. To the heretics!
Accusation desertion. Their guilt is proven at the end of the turn. The weapon of justice will fire at this character. If not proven guilty, or if the accuser is killed, it will fire in Prefect Vulture's direction instead. I like that a bit more, I think.
At your beck and call. I will do my duty.
That's unfortunate.
At your beck and call. It will be done. I'll revert to more conservative tactics.
Let's go ahead and do... that.
On it.
I feel the power surging. Naturally. I won't object to it. For the throne's glory. Throne take you. Let's see to it.
Follow my lead.
Follow my lead.
All right. We need to take care of these accusers, I think.
Be gone.
Everyone, step aside.
Not my worst day. Yet.
Naturally. But of course, nothing stands against me. For the throne's glory.
Alright, get him, Glado. Reload and...
Let's test our skills, Glato. It won't take long. Clarify your order.
There is only death, yours or mine. Death whispers my name.
Time to prove my mettle.
Alright, most importantly, we need to get up here.
My blade.
Glacial! You'll regret that filth. So shall it be. Wolves rest. Feel the icy bite of death! So it shall be. Cubs play. The wolf is on the hunt.
Get over here and kick this guy again.
So shall it be.
Or not. He's managed to stand up from prone and block my attack.
Wolves reign.
There we go.
None can do this better.
This is a
than
93% chance to
warrior
hit,
of the
but I missed it every time.
The fame-hungry come.
Weapon at the ready.
I'm done with this one.
I'll gladly take that.
Someone else can do this. At your beck and call.
I won't compromise my principles.
Alright, so where's the other accusers at?
if not... I am ready for whatever comes. It's as good as done. I've faced worse than this.
Run!
Alright. There are no accusers left standing, so I'm not sure. We need to run all the way back here? No, we can't, there's barriers.
I won't object to it.
Holy terror, smite your enemies. Be gone.
Let's see to it. Naturally.
I can't run this turn. Can I get... Yeah, send him up there.
Glato, we're undertaking this task.
I must not falter.
Oh, the noblemen were on my side.
Wolves reign. Cubs play. I will carve runes out of your bones! Our foes reek of cowardice. Wolves reign.
I've suffered worse. Follow my lead. I will do my duty.
Alright, we take a few hits.
A temporary setback. I'll see to it personally. I'll put my psychic abilities to use. For the throne's glory. Vengeance will be swift. I'm done with this one. But of course, the Inquisition sends their regards.
You're in trouble now, buddy. Perfect Vulture kneels before you. Scores of fragile implants all over her body are twitching convulsively, giving her the appearance of a crushed insect. Strock's gaze is as firm as ever. Not one muscle quivers in his hard exterior. Even in quarter defeat, compared to the others, he appears as an indestructible pillar of rock. The Prefect lets out a cough. Then an unnerving smile appears on her lips. I at least had to try. I served the Von Blance's Protectorate faithfully for over 100 years, painstakingly cultivating order where others had failed to do so. While you and your ancestors sowed anarchy and havoc with your ever-changing whims, I stood on as the linchpin that kept this domain from sinking into criminal disarray. It was because of me that this gargantuan system continued to function with barely a flaw. The only source of disruption was you, the rogue traitors. Yes, I at least had to try. Try what? Take my Protectorate for yourself? The Protectorate isn't yours, and it never was. Have you not read your own warrant even once? Every conquest, every planet claimed by a rogue traitor belongs to the Imperium. You're supposed to act as its vassal, nothing more. The rogue traitors are incapable of efficient rule. All that drives you is your craving for profit and reckless exploits. The limitless potential of the Protectorate is wasted in the hands of spoiled fools. And I am tired of watching you desecrate the very foundations of the Imperium. If it weren't for you, the Protectorate would be operating for the good of the throne as impeccably as the sacred machine of the Omnissiah. A fiery speech indeed, Inscribia. Shall we expect amendments, additions, or perhaps excuses? Only the guilty try to defend themselves, whereas I acted in the interest of the Imperium. Such a shame that some things cannot be set right by bureaucratic means, and that the short-sightedness of certain people serving in adjacent divisions. She pauses meaningfully, watching the Marshal knit his brows. So often becomes an insurmountable obstacle. I feel like option 1 probably is going to hurt her the most. Perfect Vulture. For attempting to slander and kill one of the Emperor's anointed, and for encroaching upon the Imperial tithe, I hereby sentence you to death. The Scribia Vulture gives no reply. She meets her death with her head proudly raised and her lips pursed in contempt. As the weapon roars, the Scribia Vulture's body is reduced to dust. Without waiting for you to address him, Marshal Strox does not plead so much as give you an order. Judge me, Donnie Dawson. Now that the dust is settled, I can see everything clearly. Vulture used me and the Adeptus Arbites in an attempt to seize total control over your Protectorate. I thought my actions were in service to the Lex, but in truth, only one person has ever benefited from them. That mistake deserves no pardon, and I've earned my punishment. Marshal, all you are as guilty of is being gullible and rigid in your ways. I see no reason to condemn you. Strox instantly snaps in a steely voice. No. I have shamed the Adeptus Arbites by yielding to Prefect Vulture's manipulation. I betrayed the Lex Imperialis, the very law I was duty-bound to uphold. I am guilty. I insist that you pass the sentence and carry it out immediately. Marshal Gregorus Strox, take into account your record of past achievements. I hereby deny you your execution and instead sentence you to punishment by toil. I appoint you High Overseer of the World Vibo 6. That is where you remain for the rest of your life. I consider this measure unduly lenient. I have no right to protest your decision, which you did the first time. The Marshal brings a closed fist to his chest and adds solemnly, for your judgment is final. Stark sets his shield down, detaches his carapace, and places it over the shield. Now clad only in his undersuit uniform, he looks smaller without his armor, and very tired. I, Marshal Gregory Strox, am stepping down from my post. I'm no longer fit to wear this armor. May its new wearer bring honor to the Lex. The rest of the room stands still, all eyes turn to you. The final verdict, the final verdict. What do you say next will decide the fate of not just the Adeptus Arbites, but of justice in the Cronus Expanse as a whole. I'm going to disband it. The Cronus Expanse cannot be left without the Lex Imperialis and its keepers. The Adeptus Arbites will choose a new marshal, one who is more worthy of their station, and continue to guard the Imperium against lawlessness. Talmar salutes and gives a grim nod. I'll see it done, rogue trader. Justice is done. My judgment is made. Among the broken fragments of the great scales and the burning Arbites banners, the people kneel as one. The verdict has been announced. Whatever the future may hold, one thing is certain. The Cronus Expanse will not be the same.
I always have a backup plan. This is intriguing.
Drag the chest out. The broken base of the scales is a chest adorned with the patina-covered emblem of the Adeptus Arbites. The purity seal suggests it was consecrated before being immured. Maragon Helmet. If the wearer is the Arbitrator with the Castigator specialization, their Castigator abilities cost 0 AP. Maragon Shield. The wearer's incoming damage is reduced by 20%. Damage dealt to Xenos and demons is increased by 10%. The inscription on the inner side reads, many an enemy of humankind took aim at Maragon's heart. If the shield stopped each foe's deadly string, the God Emperor protects his faithful servants from death's rapacity. Maragon Ring. When the wearer kills a target for the first time in a round, their next attack automatically hits. The wearer's Arbitrator abilities used this round can be used again. Maragon Boots. Under the effect of Ruthless Suppression, the wearer is immune to immobilized, prone, and slowed. Carefully engraved on the sole are the words, his footsteps were thunderous, and his name, Maragon, made every soul tremble. Meant but one thing for his foes. That thing was death. Ring is adorned with a tiny golden lettering. Severius Maragon, the first marshal of this temple of the Lex Imperialis, was a righteous judge until the day the Emperor summoned his soul. Helmet. Shiny ornate letters run along the rim of the helmet. He was sharp of sight indeed, near a vice and a rotten soul, near a shadow in the murk of lawlessness could escape Severius Maragon's all-seeing eye. Neat. We also got the other stuff from Marshal Strox. Marshals armor the Cronus Expanse. The targets hit by the wearer's attacks of opportunity become immobilized for one round. Base armor property plus 3 deflection if the wearer's strength is more than 70. And a Kina Seostatic Shield? Or kind Seostatic Shield. Like a kind shield. The wielder gains plus 1 deflection and 18% parry. Whenever the wielder successfully blocks an attack, they gain a number of kind Seostatic shield stacks equal to the portion of that attack's damage. When the warrior makes an attack with his shield, it deals damage, additional energy damage with 50% armor penetration. After that, all stacks are removed. Marshal's Helmet of the Cronus Expanse. When the warrior hits an enemy with his shield, all allies in a 3-cell radius gain 5 resolve until the end of combat. Does not stack. Okay, Castigator, which, has to be under Origin Talents, right? Yeah, Subductor. So is he Castigator? Oh no, he's a Vigilant. So yeah, that armor doesn't do a whole lot for us. I mean, some of it's fine. The one piece was specific to Castigators. So I think we're going to end up not using these shields anymore. I'll go and use the Maragon shield, and going to use the Gunnery shield. Give him that. Knock prone seems pretty good. How does this look? Alright, I think I'm happy with what we've got. So again, the 3-cell radius thing, maybe I'll get back to the Steel Triad anyway. I do think this other equipment is better. Can't wear this anyway because it doesn't have heavy armor proficiency. A little disappointing. I don't know. I might end up mixing it up and using these other shields instead. It just... We'll just get back to this. Sucks because it took us so long to get the Steel Triad, but that's alright. Okay.
Always keep your eye on
let's
the
go loot
prize.
everything, I guess. Merciless Onslaught. The Cybermassive deals 300% more damage and gains critical hit chance percentage. Apprehended enemies cannot dodge the Cybermassive's attacks. Its critical hits knock them prone. Thermodynamic Protocol. The servo skull. I cannot talk today. Swarm gains 20 intelligence. At the start of the Overseer's turn, allies in a 4-cell radius around the servo skull swarm have their burning toxin and bleeding level reduced by 6. At the end of the Overseer's turn, their servo skull swarm explodes, mimicking the effects of Fire Grenade. Hurricane Squall. Cyber Eagle gains 20 agility, deals 300% damage, and scores guaranteed critical hits against prone targets. When the Cyber Eagle starts soaring, adjacent enemies must pass a toughness resistance test with a 20 bonus or be knocked prone. All those seem pretty good, actually. And there's loot up here, but I don't see it. Maybe we get it when we leave. Well, either way, for now, I'm going to call it here. Next time we will return to the Void Ship and start heading towards Footfall after speaking to Solomorn. But for now, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.